Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Hello and thanks for joining Corporate Governance Platform, proudly brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. My name is Tunde Odeyemi, and in our conversation this evening, we are going to be focusing on the role of ethics in business and influence on corporate brand. And to do justice to this particular topic is a very distinguished fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, Mr. OLUFEMI SOKAN, FCIS. Mr. SOKAN is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, as well as the current chairman of the Lagos chapter of the Institute. He is a legal practitioner of over 20 years experience and is a managing partner at SOKAN and Co., a firm of legal practitioners and solicitors. Mr. SOKAN has decades of experience in managing companies' legal affairs and moving it towards meeting its mission and vision. He has a widespread experience in mergers and acquisition, regulatory and recovery transactions, joint ventures, advising startups to seasoned companies in complying with all corporate obligations and regulatory laws. He was a former company secretary, legal advisor at Alcon Nigeria Limited, and he is now the 11th chairman of the Lagos State chapter of ICSAN. Mr. SOKAN, congratulations, and nice to have you on Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you. It's nice to be here as well, and I say good evening to all our viewers.
Okay, thank you very much for obliging to our invitation to be on the program. This evening we are going to be looking at a very important topic: role of ethics in business and its influence on corporate brand. I would like to kickstart this conversation by asking, what really is ethics and how does ethical culture relate with corporate governance?
Thank you very much. In a simple way, ethics is doing what is good.
Doing what is good.
What is good.
Okay.
But for the purpose of our viewers, and to elaborate more on it, ethics, we could say is a set of rules or code of conduct that is established by an organization for its members to create and maintain a standard, a high standard of conduct in the organization.
To create and maintain a high standard of conduct in an organization.
Exactly.
Does it have anything to do with morals?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the ethics shows if you are wrong, it tells you you are wrong.
Okay.
If you are right, it tells you you are right.
Okay, can you explain how ethical culture impacts on corporate brand?
Every organization, they have an identity.
Okay.
And that identity is based on the corporate brand.
Okay.
Organizations, companies, they have their own clients, customers, and they also have others that are, hoping in the near future to join them. These are what is being checked. What is the brand, the corporate brand made of?
Okay.
And this is where it shows the competitiveness of the organization,
Okay.
vis-a-vis how it relates to people and the reception of the organization, to the society.
Okay, wonderful. At this point in time, I would like to invite our viewers to be part of the program by asking questions or making comments on the show. Your questions or comments should come in text message only to 080-2323-12 87. I take the number again. Text messages only to 080-2323-1287. Please, no phone calls, and when you send your text message, kindly put your name to either ask question or make comments on the show. Yeah, you've been able to explain to us how good ethical culture impacts on the corporate brand. However, what then is the relationship between ethics and reputation of a company and investors' confidence?
Good. We talked earlier on about corporate brand.
Yeah.
And this shows how a company or an organization, is performing. A corporate brand, gives if it's questionable, it can affect the growth of that company.
Wonderful.
When we look at big names today, I don't want to mention any names, you see that a lot of customers, a lot of people, they go with the brand. Oh, I want this particular brand. Why? Because they have been able to keep an ethical structure that has maintained their level of relevancy, in the organization as well as, to the society.
Then how does it now impact on the investor's confidence?
Okay. Now, for any investor to come in and say, "Oh, we want to, have a dealing with an organization," they look at the structure and they look at the ethical structure of the organization. I mean, this goes a long way to speak of what they are. They look at the management, right from the board down to the management, to the lowest of it. So all these add or subtract to what the organization stands for.
Okay, you actually talk about the board and the management. The board of every organization is expected to model a top-down commitment to ethical standard. What is the reason for doing this? And if they are doing that, what is the role of the management in implementing this?
Good. Let me first of all say this saying: if the head is sick, the body will be sick. Now, when we look at the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, 2018, Part D of it make provisions for what is expected. In fact, for this top to bottom management of an organization. Once it starts from the top, which is the board, it cuts across the board to all members and the management team.
Okay.
Principle 24 in the code makes provision for that.
Okay. So what then is the role of the management?
So the role of the management is to ensure, number one, that they keep to the ethical structure of the organization. Number two, to ensure that there's a communication between the members of the organization and the organization itself. Also to ensure that there are measures that are put in place to discipline any erring member, either from the board or from the management, to ensure that things are done the way it's supposed to be. And of course, a reward for a good and excellent work in the organization.
Okay, we quickly go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with our conversation on the role of ethics in business and its influence on corporate brand. Please don't go away.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
You are welcome back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform and it's coming to you live from MITV. And we are discussing the role of ethics in business and its influence on corporate brand. And Mr. OLUFEMI SOKAN, FCIS, is still in the studio doing justice and leading in the conversation. And I would like to also remind our viewers that to be part of the show, you can send text message to 080-2323-1287. The number again, 080-2323-1287. Please only text message to ask questions or to make comments, no phone calls. And when you send your text message, kindly put your name on it. So, Mr. SOKAN, you have led us into the role of the board and, of course, the management in ensuring there is ethical standard in an organization. But while answering that, you actually mentioned a portion of the NCCG code, Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018. I want to refer you to a particular provision of that code. The code provides that a company's code of business conduct and ethics should provide, among other things, that directors should not make improper or prejudicial use of information acquired as directors and not disclose non-public information except where disclosure is authorized or legally mandated. What exactly is the significance of this provision?
Under the code, that's the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018, there's provision that every director must adhere to the principle of confidentiality.
Okay.
If you look at principle 2425, is clearly stated there. The information they have is strictly for the organization, and for any reason why it will go out, it must be with the knowledge of the organization. If they run short of that, that could affect the organization or the business. And it is expressly stated in the code. So basically, it's just confidentiality.
Confidentiality. Then what are the consequences if directors or when directors misuse information, corporate information for their personal benefits? Does it have any consequence?
Oh, definitely. That will warrant a sanction for them. That could either make them to be resigned or, whatever. But that is not ethical for the organization, because they must be able to keep that fiduciary duty of maintaining information in such a way that it will not get into the wrong hands and affect the organization.
Okay, I want to believe that one of the things that could make a director misuse information, confidential information, as you mentioned, is maybe to benefit another company or personally to benefit itself. And that is leading me to another question. The question now is, what should a director be a director in a company, be another director in a competing company, even after the director must have disclosed to the other company? Can a director that is in a company also be another director in another competing company?
Well, one of the provisions of the code under the Part D is that there should not be any conflict of interest.
Okay.
This is very crucial, because that can be very adverse and it can be interesting to the organization. So in a nutshell, there must not be any conflict of interest from the director to the organization.
Okay, there must not be any conflict of interest. And if you don't want conflict of interest, that means you may not work in another competing, you may not be a director in a competing
Well,
company.
if there is disclosure to the, if there's a disclosure to the organization, I mean, one of the things that is key here is transparency.
Okay.
And this is one of the key tenets of corporate governance. So whatever it is, disclose to the management, disclose to the board, this is the situation of things, and then the organization looks at it. Will it be beneficial to us? Will it be of any harm to us? And with that, there is transparency.
Okay, because these are real ethical issues, yes. And I can tell that it happens in organizations. Now, can a director use corporate information for his own personal benefit after he has resigned or retired from the board? And if this happens, what are the consequences?
Well, usually there is always this provision for a non-disclosure. If you are in an organization and there are particular information that are key to that organization, it stays within the organization. So disclosing it after you have left may affect the running, may affect the business, may affect so many things, about the organization. So in order to curb that, usually there might be an agreement signed whereby when you leave, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, just to ensure that the organization is not put in a position that will jeopardize their business.
Okay, you mentioned transparency the other time. I'd like to take you up on some of the principles of ethics, like ethics, principles of ethics such as honesty, integrity, fairness, and loyalty. Now, can you explain these principles, especially in relations to corporate governance?
These are all tenets of corporate governance. I mean, when you look at honesty, everywhere honesty is the key. When honesty is not there, the trust will not be there. This, I say, is the bedrock. Is the bedrock of any company, and also it helps the organization or the company to breed the confidence of their customers or their clients. Now, when we talk about integrity, this is the bloodline of any organization. Integrity brings trust. Once integrity is broken, the trust is not there. So the organization or the company must continue to ensure that they have the confidence, they win the confidence of their customers and their other stakeholders. Of course, there is fairness. This is expected of, especially those at the board and the management, in all their dealings. This is also provided for in the code. There must be fairness in whatever they are doing. There must be no partiality. They must engage the principle of diversity, in whatever they are doing.
And the other one is loyalty.
And another one is loyalty, which is very key. I mean, loyalty, without loyalty, is like, it's out of the system already. Loyalty is the key that shows that you are in the system, ready to grow the system, and to ensure that the organization of the business, moves to the next level.
Let me take you up on this funny question. Is it good to say that ethics upholds the tenets of corporate governance, or corporate governance upholds the tenets of ethics?
Well, both of them,
okay,
they go together.
They go together. Right?
And I will tell you that corporate governance rests on the ethical structure.
Okay.
Why? Because that is the rudimentary, the foundation of it. This is, you remember in the beginning we said ethics is doing what is good.
That's
a set of rules, code of conduct that create and maintains a standard for an organization. So it's on that principle, it's on that tenet that all the ones for corporate governance, transparency, fairness, accountability, responsibility, and all the rest of them rest upon.
Okay, the relationship between what's the relationship between ethics and social responsibility?
Like I said, ethics is or the ethical structure is what an organization is based upon. We know that organizations, companies, in the recent time, these days, they galvanize towards social responsibility, and that is what they can probably give back to the society. But in doing that, they must still not fall out of the purview of what they stand for. Every organization stands for something. I mean, doing something that is outside what will add value to them, what will still, make their the stakeholders to see that, they are still the company or the organization that they know they must stay within it.
Okay, we have a text message from Bridget from Lagos. And Bridget is saying that the issue of vested interest in corporate governance is endemic in Nigeria, both in the public and private sector. What control measures are provided by the Institute? The Institute, I think here is ICSAN.
Yes.
Are provided by the Institute to checkmate this, the issue of vested interest.
Well, the Institute stands for as a hub of corporate governance professionals. And I will say in most of our programs and all that we do, we ensure that this is, re-echoed all the time. Apart from that, we ensure that we be in collaboration with other regulatory authorities to ensure that this kind of thing is checked. I mean, we are always in tune with the Corporate Affairs Commission, in tune with the SEC, and all of them. So the Institute is right at the top of it to ensure that the standard of corporate governance, whether in the public or in the private sector, is adhered to strictly.
Okay, I'll take you up later on the public sector, but what should a company do when profitability is at variance with ethical consideration?
Well, every organization wants to make profit.
Sure.
But at the same time, the company or the organization must not go outside its structure of what it stands for. I mean, we know that there is always the members of a company, of an organization, and they stay within what they are supposed to do. For instance, if the organization is to develop and build, you wouldn't expect them to go into other things like agriculture. That is, even though they may make profit from it, but it's outside their purview, and that will affect the business ethics of that organization.
So the organization should stay within its area of operation.
Correct.
Okay, is good ethical culture beneficial to the public sector? You mentioned public sector. Is it beneficial to the public sector?
To be honest with you, both the public and the private sector must ensure that corporate governance, with the organization having a good ethical structure in place, is very, very key. In fact, I will say that in the public sector is more needed, more than ever today, to check the area of bribery, corruption, and all what like that. So it applies to the public as well.
Okay, let me take you on this last question. Your advice, you have said that good ethical culture is good for both the private and the public. What is your advice to private operators and public on how to entrench good ethical cultures in their organizations?
Thank you. The code already makes provision for that, but I will just summarize some of them out.
Okay.
The first is that every organization must have a set of code of conduct to guide their members.
Okay. And code of conduct.
Code of conduct. Secondly, there must be proper accountability.
Accountability.
And that this cut across from the topmost to the lowest of the management. Again, they could encourage whistleblowing. Whistleblowing. I mean, if anything is wrong, let it be revealed before it affects the functionality of the organization. Again, understanding and communicating. One thing is to have the set of rules, which is the code of conduct, the business code of conduct. Another is to have clarity and a proper communication to the members. So they must be well informed. They must be trained from time to time. The code provides for that. Periodic review of the business code of conduct of an organization. And last but not the least, for the erring members, whether at the board or at the management level, there must be disciplinary action.
Wonderful. And with that, we are going to have a wrap on the show. To entrench good ethical culture in an organization, our guest has been able to mention about 5, if I can remember: accountability, good code of conduct, good communication, and the last one is disciplinary action. And on that, we are going to have a wrap on today's show. Mr. Olufemi SOKAN, we'd like to thank you very much for coming on the show and for sharing your thoughts on ethics. And for our viewers, thank you for being part of the show. Bridget, thank you for that text message. I hope the answer really satisfied you. We'd like to invite you to join us again next week, same station, same time. I remain Tunde Odeyemi, your host. My producer has been Adeboye Galabiron, and the technical director is Mr. Abib Adejobi. Keep spreading the gospel of corporate governance, and see you next week.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.